Mr. McGillivray, what could have mitigated the losses that will be caused by Hurricane Harvey?
I think one of the big picture problems we see is the massive development that has occurred in the Houston area over the years. Houston is the fourth largest metropolitan area in the U.S. There's about 6.5 million people there. They've been building like there's no tomorrow, including building into greenlands and wetlands, which help us manage excess water like we're seeing today.
How do the wetlands and green spaces help?
Just simply said, they sop up water. They help us manage water better. When you pave over these areas, when you put up big box stores with big roofs and these sorts of things, water simply has no place to go. It runs off very quickly into rivers and creeks and streams and reservoirs. They soon burst their banks and you have a problem. And really, we're seeing this in most major cities in North America.
What else could have mitigated the effects of this hurricane?
Well, I think there's a few other things to look at. One of them is coastal defenses. They've been talking about building a big levee system from the Texas-Louisiana border right on down the coast of Freeport to help protect against storm surge and sea level rise. They've been talking about it, but really no actions have been taken, and they're thinking that if it does get built, it won't get started until at least 2023. Now, that wouldn't help you today with heavy rainfall, but it would certainly help with storm surge and sea level rise. And I think the other thing we have to look at is building code. So I think taken all together, what we build, where we build it, and how we build it is all very important. So this encompasses land use planning and building code as well.
In this particular case with Harvey, what about government agencies? Could they have been better prepared?
I think that remains to be seen. It seems that FEMA is doing a pretty good job, but one of the questions I think we have to look at is did the late appointment of the new FEMA director have any impact at all on FEMA's response to this event? The new director wasn't appointed until 3 weeks in the hurricane season, so we'll have to see after the fact whether this has any impact on anything. And also, the National Hurricane Center in the U.S. is directorless at the moment. He stepped down recently to take a job in the private sector, and we'll have to take a look at whether that had any impact on the center's work in this area too.
At this stage of the game, what lessons should Canada and indeed the rest of the world take from this?
Well, I think we can't be too smug in Canada. We have problems with heavy rainfall and flooding as well. We saw it in southern Alberta in 2013. We saw it in Toronto also in 2013. Recently in Gatineau, Quebec, Ottawa, Kelowna, Montreal, you name it. We really have to take a long view at development in cities, how we lay things out, where we allow new subdivisions to be built. And I think one of the big problems is that the local authorities who get to approve construction are not the ones left holding the bag after a disaster. It's usually the more senior governments that come in after the fact. So there's a bit of a disconnect there, and I think local governments either have to have more skin in the game or the more senior governments need more say in where we build things and how we build things.
So in practical terms, what needs to happen?
I think things need to happen on many fronts. Somehow we have to get everybody talking on the same page, particularly provinces and local governments, because local governments approve construction, but it's the province that comes in with disaster assistance. And so that's, like I say, a big disconnect. And we need to get them talking more, and perhaps provinces can have more say in what gets built and where it gets built. And perhaps municipalities need more skin in the game in terms of having to pay for these, at least partially pay for these disasters after they happen. We really need to get the insurance industry in on the discussion. We're just now, over the last year and a half, providing flood insurance in Canada. We never had it before. And the insurance industry is really well able to pick up a lot of the risk that's out there, but not the highest risk homes. We still need government to backstop the highest risk homes. So we need to talk more between the insurance industry and the federal government as well. Also, I think on a federal level in Canada, we used to have an excellent national flood reduction program. That was wound down many years ago. And while Public Safety Canada is doing a lot on the flood file right now, I think it still remains to be seen whether it's going to be as good as the work that was done under the National Flood Reduction Program years ago.
And why was that wound down?
Oh, I don't know. Politics, perhaps. Budget. It's hard to say. There's been a lot of downloading and offloading in many files over the years. But I think the flooding in southern Alberta in 2013 really got the issue back on the forefront, on the front burner. And the federal government is finally saying the right things and doing the right things. They are working hard to create a national standard on flood mapping. They are engaging the insurance industry in the discussion. One of the things we have to do, I think, is incorporate climate change into flood mapping. We're getting there, and a fairly recent announcement by the federal government that they're going to invest $2 billion into mitigation was a great step in the right direction as well. But
mitigation of what?
Mostly flood. It's not clear where that $2 billion is going to go, but it's going broadly into the area of mitigating natural hazards. I think it will be flood. But another thing the federal government is talking about is integrating climate change adaptation into the National Building Code. That's also a very important discussion.
Thank you very much for telling us about this.
My pleasure.